Employers who are eligible for the government's $130 billion JobKeeper subsidy are considering not applying for the scheme because of the attitude of some of their employees. Council of Small Business Organisations Chief Executive Peter Strong joins me now via Skype. Peter, it's supposed to be the program that's the saviour, that's the lifeline, particularly for your constituency of small business. It's the only alternative, to be honest, that people have other than the dole. What's your concerns?
What we're hearing from some of our members, and as you said before, the package is just amazing. $130 billion there to keep teams together and get us ready to come back out of this and help the economy. Now, what we're hearing, one of my members said 85% of the calls he was taking yesterday was from employers saying they've got employees saying to them, look, you have to give me JobKeeper, but I'm not going to come to work. I'm going to stay at home. And we've talked also about if there's some businesses that are in hibernation, so they're not got any work in the shop, so to speak, but they can do training, which is really good for the worker, really good for the business, keeps people active, manages mental health. And people are saying, well, no, you can't tell me to do that. And so the employers are saying, hang on, this is good for you. The government's really gone out of their way here. I think it's obliging to employers and employees to meet the need of the government here and do the best we can. But, I mean, would you put someone on who refused to work?
Well, see, this is the thing. It's not just a trumped-up dole for people that are working, that were attached to a particular employer. It's to keep the business operating as well. So it's got to work for the employer as much as it means money for the employee. So it's got to be doing the things that in this hibernation mode the business needs doing. So, stock taking, provided you can do social distancing, let's say, or other maintenance work on plant and equipment, all the things that a worker would do or you hope to do as a business when you've got time. I know some businesses I've walked past as I've gone for a morning walk, I've noticed are doing renovations because their restaurants are physically shut, using that time to do all these other things. But if the worker just wants to push the boss to sign up to this but then sit at home, how do you work around that? What can the government do, or what can COSBOA do to change that?
Oh, well, basically, what the government brought in was the rules are the same in workplace relations here. So if you give someone an instruction and a JobKeeper and they decline the instruction, a good employer is going to say, look, you have to take the instruction. The only other choice I've got is to issue you with a dismissal notice and you can go on to JobSeeker. So it's your choice, but really, don't you want to stay here? Don't you want to have a job at the end of this? And what I'm asking you to do is no different from what I would normally ask anybody else. Now, as you said, there's restaurants doing certain things. Some restaurants have reinvented themselves around cooking and then delivering, and they've got a lot of staff who've said quite happy to deliver. They've got some who said, I don't want to. And so the restaurant said, fine, off you go. That's okay. But there's people that want to work. It's mainly young people, Peter, that are doing this. I get it. If I was 17 and I only worked on Saturdays and someone gave me $750 a week, I'd be pretty happy. But, it's behoving upon...
Just let me stop you there, Peter, because I think we need to underscore so people at home can follow that point you've just made. Over 60%, so 2/3 basically, of any casual employer who meets the test, which is a 12-month casual attachment to a particular workplace, meets the test to get JobKeeper, and let's assume their business is signed up. 2/3 of them will be paid more by the taxpayer under this scheme than they've previously earned. So, have we got situations where they're not working for the $1,500 they're now getting? They're working on the basis of what they might have earned previously, which could be a hell of a lot less and much less hours. Are they working up to what they're being paid at, or are they working back to where they were paid previously?
The rules are if someone works Saturdays, you can only ask them to work Saturdays, right? That's the rule. So, as you say, 60% of casuals are going to be winners here and that they get more money. If they're mainly young people, I've got to say they're the ones that will be paying for this over the next few decades. So there's give and take here. But the government had to move quickly. They had to respond quickly. They did that. There's winners and so-called losers, although you're not a loser if you've still got a job. And people are benefiting from this. And what we're saying to them is understand that you're benefiting, understand you're getting more money than you normally do, and you've got to respond. You've got to support your employer. That's not a hard thing. That's not an unreasonable request. Can I give you an example?
How concerned, just on this, sorry,
Yep.
related to this though, how concerned are you then, given all the things you've just told us, that the unions have already said that they will have a campaign to name and shame employers who don't sign up to this scheme, and for all these reasons you've outlined, they might decide it's not worth the pain if the employer, having got the money, is not prepared to turn up to work?
No, absolutely. The unions have no idea. How are they going to know who's eligible anyway? I mean, they think it's 1975 and they're behaving like that. They're very disappointing. To give you an example, if I can, Peter, of another issue, is because, and say I used to run a business and I had 6 casual staff, but I employed them as equivalent of 2 full-time employees, right? They're all happy to be casuals. So I would have a pay of about $3,000, say, a fortnight. Now, under this, my pay for a fortnight would be $1,500 times 6. So all of a sudden, I, as an employer, would have to go and find $7,000, whereas before I would have to find 3. Now, I'm going to get that money back from the government, but I have to pay that money first. So to do that,
this is what a lot of people don't understand. I think it's now becoming more apparent. It's taken a while to filter out. But of course, you're right, Peter Strong, small business has to stump up the cash now. They will be rebated back the money after about the middle of May, I think. But what's their option? Do they go to a bank and get an overdraft, an extension on any existing loans? Particularly, going to your point, if their wage bill under this scheme is increased because of government largesse, as opposed to what they might have been paying before coronavirus hit.
Well, that's right. And we've got a lot of employers, as you probably know, they're saying, I don't have the cash. I can't do this. So we've all been talking. Well, they go to the bank, and this comes back that it's not easy. You don't just say, I just go to the bank. That's not a thing you do overnight. You've got to go there, you've got to give the bank the information that they need. So as an employer, you've got to think, yeah, this is worthwhile. This is good for me. So you want your employees to be with you. I'd be sitting down with my employees saying, okay, I've got to do this. Are you all happy with that? Are we going to keep working as best we can? I'm not going to ask you to do anything stupid, but are you happy to do that? Now, they say yes or no. And that's, I think, the proper way that you approach it as an employer and as an employee. And to hear the unions say they're going to go hunting, I mean, that's just so old-fashioned. We're in a crisis. They should be saying, listen to the employees and their members. If you want to keep your mental health, if you want to maintain your health, listen to your employer. If they want you to do some training, if they want you to do some work, that's a good thing. That's a good thing because it will keep you active.
All right, Peter Strong, I'm going to get you back, if you don't mind, next week. Just to touch base, I want to talk about morale, and I want to also see what we can do to give small business, I know they struggle at the best of times, some information, some help, some numbers, etc., to step them through the process, because it's tough and it's not easy when you're battling all the other things. You've got kids around the kitchen table and you're trying to teach them at home as well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.